right, so 5 minutes spare time passed. Let's just start, and then if somebody joins in later, that's fine, and otherwise everybody who's not here yet will get the recording. So welcome to this free class. I'm so happy that you join us and want to learn more about the horse rescue process, and especially rehabilitation for therapeutic purposes. So those of you, most of you know me. Some of you know my herd, especially Lori. She was part of a retreat many years ago. Those of you who don't, I rescue horses and rehabilitate them in the herd, and then I offer coaching and psychotherapy and also brand new holistic equine therapy with that herd. So they are very busy, and I will tell you how it went from receiving them, how they usually come, and then what do I do to have them work with me in these different projects. Your questions are always welcome. Please just interrupt me. Don't be shy. And Lori has already sent me a question that I will answer in a bit. And you can also write some questions in through the chat, but it's probably better if you interrupt me because I'm not always looking at that with the presentation. So let's just start. I have a presentation prepared for you that we just need to find. Here it is. Okay. All right, so welcome to another class with me. Today, we'll be talking about rescue horses and the rehabilitation process for herds with therapeutic purposes. Of course, the same process can also be applied to horses that work in other projects. Maybe horses that you have just for your own and they don't work in any therapeutic groups. But this technique, this process is also does also work for herds who will then later work with other people. So we will talk about first rehabilitation in the herd versus desensitization, which is a common technique that most people will use if they have a complicated horse. They go to a certain process and they desensitize their ticklish areas and get rid of the triggers, but I believe that that's not the right route to take. I will tell you more about individualized treatment of the horses and how I get to decide what I will do with each one of them. And then we will talk about how to find the horse's calling, which is based on the Salutogenesis approach from Aaron Antonovsky. I do a lot with his theories. He also developed a theory about the sense of coherence, and it's very important for me to be based on what the horses are offering, what they are good at, what their natural abilities are, instead of focusing on their problems and their complicated areas. And I do the same also when I work with people. So a lot of these things come from human psychology, and then I apply it to the horses. All right, so first of all, in this part of rehabilitation in the herd, my biggest and most important suggestion is give them time. These horses, the rescue horses, have gone through a lot of trouble in their life. They have received abusive treatment. They may have been abandoned. They may have seen terrible things. Katharina, for example, who is here with us from Germany, has rescued a horse from the slaughterhouse. So he was there as a foal for quite a while, and he has seen terrible things and smells terrible things there. So there's so many triggers that these horses accumulate. We cannot believe that within a couple of days or a couple of weeks, we can bring them back to life and and solve all their problems. That's not possible. They have trauma accumulated in their body and they need time, just as a human being. So that's the most important part. So when I talk about rehabilitation and the herd, I actually put them in a herd, in an existing herd. I usually have 6, 7, 8 horses. And if I get a new one, I put them in this herd and I just leave them there alone for as long as it takes until they come back to me out of their own choice. Of course, there is an exception. Some of these horses need medical treatment, veterinary treatment, so I have to deal with that. But apart from that, I will just put them in the herd and I will have them come to me on their own terms. And the theory or the idea behind that is sharing territory, which is a concept taught by Carolyn Resnick, where she says that we should spend time with our horses without wanting anything from them. So we take a chair, we put that chair into the pasture, and we read a book and kind of ignore the horses. And that gives them time to approach us on their terms without pressure and to come slowly close to us. If new horses come into a herd, they are usually ignored at the beginning, and then they will approach each other slowly, very slowly, over several days. And that's part of their nature. So we can give the horses this time to first arrive and calm down and watch what the others are doing. Horses are social animals, and they will rely on the opinion of the herd. So if a horse sees that all the herd is friendly with me and excited when I come and they come to greet me, this rescue horse will imitate that behavior after a short while. So first he's in the margin, not also ignoring me, and watching the other horses. And then slowly, little by little, he will join them, he will follow them, and at some point he will also check me out. So I share territory for days or sometimes weeks before I ask them to do something else. And I always wait until they come to me. And that is, for me, part of a trauma therapy. I put them in a safe environment with colleagues who understand them, who have gone through a similar process, and who can motivate them through their own behavior, what would be appropriate to do. So that is a big difference to behavioral therapy, what we usually do with horses. So if I get a new horse, yes?
Perdona, es que es muy difícil con el inglés, pero cuando dijiste cuando tienes un caballo con trauma, ahí me perdí esa parte. Al final de la hora.
Sí, que el trauma del caballo necesita mucho tiempo para sanarse, es como trauma de personas, no es algo que podemos resolver en poco tiempo, ¿sí? Entonces la otra metodología de desensibilizarles es más como una terapia conductual y eso no funciona a largo plazo.
Pero tú los presentas, por ejemplo, en un corral aparte, o tú estás hablando de, por lo que yo vi, que se acercaban lentamente o no, con el resto, cómo se comportan los caballos en tu manada, con el nuevo y tú adentro con la manada.
Exacto, el caballo está con la manada y copia el comportamiento de los demás.
Perfecto, gracias.
Okay, so usually if somebody gets a new horse and they evaluate it and that horse is maybe head shy or would kick if you approach it, what they do is work this part as much as possible. So they touch them in the hind legs with a rope or with a hose, with water, and then slowly with the hand or with a contact stick to take away this response of kicking. That is behavioral therapy. But the problem is that this behavior is a result of a trauma. So it's a trauma, it's a trigger. The horse feels triggered. If somebody approaches it, the horse is triggered and wants to defend himself. And if we take away this learned behavior, he will replace it by another learned behavior. So it's actually better to have them first deal with the trauma settle in, feel safe, and approach me. And then most of this behavior, of the unwanted behavior, will go away over time anyways. So the behavior change happens kind of on its own. I don't have to put so much effort in it and push it in the beginning. I can just wait until the horse is trusting, and then it will stop most of these things on its own. And I have a lot of examples for this when I will show you how I can measure that, how I can determine what is going on with the herd. So first of all, I prefer to rehabilitate them in an existing calm and trusting herd and have them learn by example from horses, not from people, because these horses have made bad experiences with people. So how would they trust me and know that, oh yeah, she's a good person? They have to learn from other horses. So why is that important? Maybe the other way also works. This is important because I have seen that trauma triggers stay forever. We know this from human therapy, that our trauma triggers are really hard to overcome. If somebody has been assaulted by a certain type of person, they will always be triggered by that same body type. They know maybe logically that it's okay and they can relax, but there will be a moment, a very tiny moment in humans where there's still like a defensive behavior. And horses are so hypersensitive and are so driven by their instinct that for them doing this logical conclusion, oh yeah, this reminds me of something, but now it's okay, is really, really hard to overcome. So if we just get rid of try to get rid of the trauma triggers, that's for me kind of an impossible route. So the behavioral therapy will lead, in my experience, to trigger change or self-soothing behavior. So these horses will do something else to deal with the stress, but the trigger does not go away. So they are still scared of us, but they have learned to behave differently. And if we do that too early in the process, then it's not going to help us. These horses will not really come along. We have something. It's getting dark here in Scotland. Yeah. Yeah, it's just noon here. Well, 1 o'clock here in Ecuador. So I really recommend to go into the trauma part first. Now, how do we do this? That's the question, the $1 million question. How do we do this? And here we are at the second part, individualized treatment. I think it's incredibly important to do a really profound, detailed evaluation of this specific situation of the horse. And there's different ways how we can do that. For example, there's one possibility where we can do a constellation for the horse. It's a new technique. It's similar to family constellations, but they actually do it for the horse. I personally don't do it, but it's a good idea. Our sessions, the horse-guided empowerment sessions, are an incredible diagnostic tool because our clients will choose horses and will project their own things onto the horse, but they choose the horse because they see some kind of similarity with their own story. So if somebody chooses a horse and says, and they describe it, they very often are right on the spot. So often in the sessions, I learn something about new horses. For those of you who have been part of my sessions or workshops or are facilitators like Catarina and Constanza in Chile, you know more about this. It's a complex process, but I have seen that in horse-guided sessions, therapeutic or coaching sessions, we can reach a diagnose or at least part of a diagnose for new horses. Another thing that works really well is animal communication. There are people trained in this. They can actually tune in with the horses and find out more about their feelings. For some people, that's kind of too, you know, too esoterical, or maybe too, you know, not scientific enough. I have seen that I don't do like real animal communication, but very often if I just sit with them, if I sit in the herd and I'm quiet and I let my mind calm down, I get an intuition. And that's very similar to this kind of animal communication. So I sometimes get like a thought or like a new idea, and it seems to be kind of communicated through the horses. So that also works. Then we have an activity, it's called the energy hug, where you place your hands, oh, whoops, where are we here? You place your hand at the neck of the horses, and by that you have access to their energetic self, to their energetic being, and we place that we place our palms at the neck of the horse at a certain point, and it's a point where several meridians cross, and a point that it has been identified as a point where the energy is tuned into communication and interspecies communication also. So it's a point where we put both hands on the neck of the horse and then do kind of a meditation. And sometimes the horse communicates something to us, or sometimes we just get strength or motivation, and our clients get, you know, like a very strong feeling of calmness or of reassuring. But sometimes we can also get an idea of what the horse is all about. So if I do this with the intention of learning more about this specific horse, and I tune into that, I also get kind of silent messages or images or feelings. So it's not that the horse gives me a story of, okay, so first this happened, and then that person came along, and then I didn't get enough to eat. But I get feelings of fear or hopelessness or anger. And that helps me to find out what is really going on. What is the behavior the horse is showing me rooted on, okay? And that is very important, because it's the same that we also see in human therapy and human psychology. If somebody has a panic attack, or if somebody has depression, we can't say, okay, so depression is always rooted in that kind of abuse, so this is what we have to do. Depression can come from a variety of reasons, and the same is also happening with horses. If a horse is aggressive, that can come from a variety of reasons, and it's important for me to find out, what is it rooted in? Is it fear, abandonment, anger, pain? Maybe the horse has not been abused by somebody, but is having pain inside his body because of a disease, or because of an accident or something. But maybe the horse projects that pain to humans because he doesn't understand why he has it. Okay, so it's really important to find out what kind of feeling is behind his behavior. And then there are two very good resources. One is developed by Pat Pirelli. He does a natural horsemanship method. It teaches that all over the world also. And he has developed a system of quadrants where we can put the horse and assess his character through a couple of questions and a couple of character traits. So I will show you that. It looks like this. Well, it's reversed right now, but you have the 4 quadrants here, and there's a lot of specific character traits where we can assess the horse and decide, okay, so is he hyper alert, or is he more defiant? Is he like easily bored, or maybe distrustful? And there's a couple of activities and exercises that we can do to find out where our horse fits in. And then there are specific activities and exercises that we can do to help them in that state of mind. So that's something very helpful that I recommend everybody to look into, the Pirelli character system. And then there's another thing that is really very easy, and the basis is this. It's just two silhouettes of a horse, exactly the same, and a silhouette where we can see all important parts. So we can see the area below the tail, the legs, the head. And I use this when I get a new horse to find out which body parts are sensitive and which ones are not. So for example, this looks like this. So this one is Flamenco, the horse that you referred to, Laurie, in the beginning when he came to me. So I could touch him. The green parts mean that I can touch him, but it's only, it's not completely green. So it means he doesn't necessarily enjoy it. He lets me touch him, but he's not loving it. And then all the green or orange parts are complicated. So this horse wouldn't let me touch him on his legs, on his hind part, at his tail, at his head. And then there's more symbols like this one here. That means I never get two eyes. So this horse would never look at me with two eyes, which means that he's never trusted me, okay, in the beginning. And then we see the same horse some weeks or months later, and the only complicated spot was here between his legs at his private parts. And okay, you know, we can tolerate that. That's okay. So that's one example. And then there's another example here of the white mare, Vicky. When she came to us, she would bite and kick whenever we touched her legs. And that's why we have this symbol here. So if you would approach her hind legs, she would kick violently. And then a couple of months later, well, this is colored by my kids because Vicky then was entirely green. She enjoyed touch in all areas, and she was not complicated anymore. So with this system, which is super easy, you can
Christina,
yes.
Christina, I have to leave now because it's getting dark and I have to put horses in now.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to say, and I'm just looking, and I'm going to have to go. I'm loving this.
Oh,
so
awesome. I will send you the recording. Yes,
and
yes. Okay. Say hi to your horses.
Okay, bye.
Okay, and then here we see another kind of complicated case. So that was a mare with her foal. And as you can see, the foal, it says here 10 meters. So we couldn't even approach him closer than 10 meters. This horse, this foal, we couldn't touch him anywhere. He would just run away. And the mare was very complicated at her legs, also in the head part. And then this here at the neck, because she had a huge, she was tangled in rope. So she had several points where she was severely injured. And it's also reflecting here on that thing. So it's a very easy to use resource, but it has proven extremely helpful. And I tend to forget how it started. So if I have a horse for a couple of weeks, I cannot remember how it was back then when he arrived. So looking at this chart and seeing, oh boy, wow, I couldn't even touch his head. And now he comes and you know, plays with me or is friendly. That helps me a lot to see that we have already made progress and where else to work. But these horses have not been desensitized by me at all. I just let them be. And then after, you know, 3 months or 2 months or something, their behavior changes on its own, okay? So that is a very helpful tool for me. Okay, and when I say individual treatment, I mean that we first find out what is going on, and then we decide what we do specifically with this horse to help him overcome his struggles. So that then leads in the next phase to finding out the horse's calling. And I would like to recommend, motivate everybody to think more about this approach or about this idea that everyone will thrive differently. I mean, if we look around, maybe in this group, we don't all do the same. Maybe there's people here who would love to jump from an airplane with a parachute. I don't know. Is there somebody here who would love to do that? Or has done it already?
No entendí.
¿Hay alguien a quien le gustaría saltar de un avión con un paracaídas? ¿O tal vez ha hecho un parachute?
No.
No? Nobody done that? Okay, well, me neither, and I will not do it ever. But there's people who genuinely enjoy that, and that's okay. I mean, I don't want to change them, and that's, I mean, it's fair enough. They everybody has their own highlights in life and their own struggles in life, and the horses do too. So if we go on a standard rehabilitation program, then we do like standard schooling. We try to have them all learn the same things to be able to do the same things. And I believe that everybody thrives differently, and that we should be more looking at their individual calling. And there we are at the question that Laurie sent to me by email. So why do I not endorse or motivate riding? So it's not that I would say no horse should be ridden at all. Like, there's some horses who actually enjoy it, but others do not. So many of the rescue horses are not good for riding, and they can thrive in a therapeutic environment where we interact with them from the ground in a different way, but they will never again be ridden because it's just not for them, or because they have to overcome a struggle which is just taking longer. So if I put pressure on them and I want to have them as a riding horse again, then I put a lot of extra struggles into that process. Okay, so for example, flamenco that you know, Laurie, has had a lot of accidents while he was ridden in parades and with bullfighting, and it led to him having a very sunk back. So he's very sensitive there. And I did actually ride him a little bit, but not a lot, because it's he does not enjoy the saddle. He does not enjoy like a real riding program with expectations. That's not his thing. If I put a child on his back, he will take care of them, but he's not a good horse for dressage or something. He would be for his conformation. He's a great mover, but not for his mind, not for his emotions. Where this horse here, the one in the picture, is a horse that is fantastic from the ground. He does actually listen to you, and he kind of, you know, he does these interactions all the time. That's not me, that's one of my participants in a workshop. And if you get on him, he will be extremely stressed, super tense, and will just try to run forward. And that's not what I want. So I could hold him back with a lot of force, but I think that at his time, in his own developmental process, there will come a time when it's going to be easier. And if not, then I'll just not ride him ever. I don't have to. I have other horses. Yes?
Perdona, entendí que de la foto que estás hablando, que él es un caballo que escucha y todo, pero después algo dijiste y no lo entendí.
Que es un caballo que si tú tratas de montarle, se va a poner súper tenso y va a tratar de correr. Ese caballo solo corre. Entonces le podría frenar con fuerza, pero también puedo decir, bueno, entonces no le montamos. Todavía no pasa nada, ¿sí? There is other horses, like I have a horse called Coralina, and she enjoys the riding process because she always wants something new and something special, and she loves this one-on-one attention. So she's great for that, and that's why we ride her. Or there's another horse, a new one called Kawana, and she's very insecure. So from the ground, she's always like on the defensive mode. And if you ride her, she feels led and guided, and she likes that. So everyone is different, okay? And if we find out what this horse has to offer, what his abilities are, what his strengths are, then we can get so much from them. But if we try to have everybody fit in the same box, then we have a lot of problems. So something also in this direction is, whoops, how can I get rid of this? Okay, is that I found out that horses can be grouped into two different approaches. There are horses that are more of a nurturer and horses that are more of an investigator. So here on the right side, you see Flamenco that we have mentioned several times. And he is very fast to like do certain movements, and he can stand up on his hind legs, and he likes to help people bring out like hard things to talk about. He's very fast in bonding, and he will be there to support you and find out something more about your topic. And then there's horses that are nurturers, like Zoe, this one in the picture, or also our mare Vicky that you met in the other video. And those horses are calm companions. They love to be there for you, but they come in once you kind of know what this is all about. They are not the ones who will challenge you to go deeper. They are there to carry you, to give you strength, to give you calmness, but they are also a bit more easily confused. The investigator is very creative, very sociable, curious, and the nurturer is like, you know, a bit calmer and a bit more introvert, and will be there for you, but in a different way. So if we use this knowledge and we give the horses activities and tasks that they can easily fulfill through their character and through their story, then they will just offer more. They will be more motivated, and it will be easier to work with them. So both these horses, for example, are part of our equine therapy program. You can see they're working with kids there, and they just do it in different ways, and that's fine. That's perfect for me. And both of them have settled down. And Zoe was the white one was a polo horse. Actually, she's a very famous polo horse, but then she was taken out of the sport for age, and she didn't get pregnant, so she was worthless, and she got dumped. And she is not dealing well with pressure, and she always thinks that she has to perform. And giving her this kind of interaction where she can have a quiet conversation or just lead a kid around in a calm gait, that's something that she loves, and she's thriving with that. Okay, Flamenco wants to offer a bit more. He wants to show off, and we can give him that. Okay, so the secrets to success here, and it's a hard road to the success. My secrets are, first of all, ask for help. There have been so many occasions where I was absolutely looking at a blank wall and I had no idea what to do. So I started asking around, and I asked a lot of different people for help, even those I believe can maybe not contribute in the way I would like them to contribute. So if I ask a traditional horse trainer, of course they will go the traditional way, and they might tell me, well, you know, you just have to be a bit more harsh, or you have to, you know, not allow them to boss you around. And well, that's not my idea, but still they might give me some new techniques or some ideas, and then I can still decide on my own what I want to do or not. So ask for help. Ask other people to help you. Second, maybe most important, don't give up. If it doesn't work, stay curious. And I kind of write the story of the horse. So I would, investigate and do these different techniques and find out more about their story. And then I kind of in my mind write what I think has happened. And I need to stay curious. Sometimes I'm too fast with my idea, and in fact, it's something different. So I have to change the approach, and maybe I have to start over. With flamenco, I had to start over several times, and it may take a long time. When I thought I had it, when I thought, okay, so now I got it, I understand him, and he's better, and he's calm, and now I can do some more advanced movements, I was so looking forward to take advantage of his incredible movements. And then I did something that triggered him terribly. So what I did was go backwards, and then from the backwards start into a canter, which is like an advanced dressage movement. The horse has to be very aware of his body. It's difficult to perform that. And I was, so excited to do that with the horse. And what he did was get reminded of his bullfighting training, because that's something they do in bullfighting, and he went off like a rocket, and he ran towards the fence, and he crashed into the fence, and he was panicking. And I was shocked because I didn't see that one coming at all. So I had to start over.
¿Puedes traducirme lo último que estabas hablando? Que ahí me perdí. Es muy difícil.
Entonces, a veces hay que cambiar, hay que mantener la curiosidad y hay que cambiar el enfoque. Por ejemplo, cuando yo pensé que flamenco ya estaba bien, que ya lo tenía entendido, traté de hacer un movimiento de adiestramiento que es más avanzado, de hacer un retro y desde el retro entrar en un galope. Y eso le hizo acordar de su entrenamiento de las corridas de toros. Y se me enloqueció y salió corriendo y se chocó contra la cerca y se paniqueó y era terrible. Y me sorprendí, pero tenía que cambiar. Ajá, sí. So it may take a long time and you may have setbacks. I think that's normal. It's a long process. They can't talk to you. So you have to figure it out yourself. And if you stay curious, it is possible. You can actually always go a little step further. And with all this, I think we have to stay true to ourselves and remain flexible at the same time. So for me, that means maybe this horse would enjoy, I don't know, not living in a herd. I have a horse that has grown up alone and is always complicated when there's a lot of horses around. So maybe she would enjoy a smaller herd, but I don't have a smaller herd. So I just see, for me, it's important for her to learn horse behavior and to become comfortable again in a herd. That's important for me. I need to stay true to myself, but maybe I can put her in a smaller herd. So I try to have her separate with some other horses, but still in a natural environment. So it's sometimes difficult to do this and to stay true to my own ideas, especially when there's a lot of different opinions. And another thing that I have decided is whenever a horse is feeling pain and cannot live a normal horse life anymore, like following the herd, for example, then for me, it's time to help them part to a new world. And that is my decision. And I have come to that conclusion, and other people might think something different. They say, okay, she can't move, put her in your backyard. She doesn't have to move there. Well, for me, that's not a horse life. I think she needs to be in a natural environment. And if it comes to the point that she can't move anymore, it's time to leave, and I'll help her. So it's a lot of questioning and a lot of decision making all the time, but I think it is possible. So for me, I decided that I should just never stop learning, ever, never. And I do different courses and I learn from different people, and that has really helped me to like make up my own opinion, but I still have my own ethical guidelines, and I try to go within them. So if we can give the horses different jobs and different tasks, I believe that most of them can be rehabilitated in a very calm and non-violent way. So for those of you who have horses or are doing this rescue horse business, collecting rescue horses, sometimes it comes to that. I would ask you, so what is your routine? How do you do it? And do you want to make any changes? Chances. It should say changes here. I'm sorry. What of what I just told you has caught your attention? Maybe there's just one tiny bit that you would like to change, or maybe there's a lot. But it's super important that you do not throw aboard your own guidelines, because we can learn and listen to a variety of experts and then change, but we should always evaluate if this specific thing actually works for me. Because if you have horses in a barn, or if you have just one rescue horse in a barn, then different things apply to you than what applies to me. It sometimes depends on monetary background. I sometimes have to make decisions based on the resources that I have available in terms of veterinarian care. I live in a developing country, so some things are just not available, and some things I just cannot afford. And that's a very hard choice to make, but I have to make it. So if somebody says, well, in this case, you should have an equine surgery, and then you could help this horse live a better life. Well, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me because the surgery is not available here, or I can't afford it. So we have to define what works within our specific situation, and then adapt everything. But I believe that in general, the herd shows you an empowered version of yourself. So this whole process of getting to know them, of decision making, of readjusting, it's hard. It's really hard sometimes, but it has helped me to grow immensely. And I think this whole process does help us grow, and also enables us to be better in our therapeutic offer. So those who are working in the therapeutic purposes, if you do this, you will learn so much about yourself and about horses in general that it will incredibly benefit you for your work. And I'm super happy that, Laurie, when you met me, Horse Guided Empowerment was just starting. Now we're working in 12 countries. There's over 100 people who have learned to facilitate it. And I have online courses and everything. And I encourage everybody who's watching this video to stay in touch, to follow on social media. I have Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and everything. And please, and I mean that, it's not just something I say, I really mean it. Please share your opinion. I said that I like to hear from other experts. I have my way, you have your way, but please share it, because we can both learn about it, and we can both find, maybe tweak here, adjust there, and just grow and become better horse people and better horse therapists, I think. So if you follow me, please, if you see something, share your opinion, tell me if you liked it or if you did not like it and how you do it differently. And I love to hear that. And that's why we are now going into the discussion part. So what do you make of this? What do you do differently? What ideas do you have? Please feel free to share it with me and with the other people who will watch this video. So, Katarina, I know that you know what I'm talking about.
Now I have to talk, or what?
Well,
I don't know what.
I mean,
Huh?
but you have several rescue horses, right?
Yes.
So do you have like a standard procedure, or how do you go about? How do you help them get over their triggers? What do you think about this trauma trigger behavioral therapy thing?
I think time is really valuable for them, to give them time, and to I tell them every day that now they're home. So maybe they get that. I think they get that if you say a sentence like this, because you feel the sentence, and I think the horses feel them too. And yes, every day I say them, now you're home, now you're safe. And yes, I give them time, and I do really, really slow and little steps, and a lot of groundwork. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of walking. I walk a lot with them. So I don't ride them. I walk in the forest, I walk the streets, I walk in the city, in the little villages in Germany, and in the big cities. And yeah, they get to know the cars and the people and the surrounding, the noises. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the little steps is really important. It's sometimes it's hard for me. I'm impatient. I want to like go all the way through, but it's better to go slow and offer small steps and monitor the progress. For me, it's very important to like the charts that I showed you are part of this book. So this is my horse rescue book, and I write down everything like when I get them, the veterinarian care that they receive, some things that are weird or that happened, or so I can always go back and find more information. And sometimes I'm surprised, like, oh, I had no idea this horse started like that. And now we are here. And it's important to write it down. It's like a documentation process that we also do with our therapy clients. It's important to do that, to keep track of it. Yeah. Okay, Lori, what is your knowledge of rehab process?
Well, I'm just curious what you said with the chestnut horse. You said that he likes to help you dive deeper into what's going on, and how does that happen? Like, can you give me an example of something that maybe you discovered about yourself that the horse helped you?
Yeah, so what he does often in workshops, and especially like in the beginning round, so everybody comes in and we are at the center of the paddock, and everybody says, hello, I'm Lori, Christina, Susan, and I'm here because I want to relax a little bit and learn more about my decision-making process or something. And then Flamenco comes from behind. We don't even pay attention to them yet, but then he comes and he stands next to somebody or lowers his head really low and touches you at your chest or at your belly, and that is usually a signal for me that there's something deeper. And then very often that participant would maybe start to cry and would say, yeah, and what just comes to my mind, and I thought that was really already dealt with, but I'm just reminded of when my grandmother passed away, or when my mom was in the hospital and I was really small, and that's so weird. Why does it come up now? And then later we find out that maybe it has something to do with that, with the other original topic. So maybe your decision-making struggle is rooted in feeling abandoned when your mom was in the hospital 50 years ago. And Flamenco can feel that, he can sense that, and he gives people the safe environment to really get it out. And the others, the nurturers, they would stay somewhere in the back. And when you have let it out and you're overwhelmed maybe or a bit drained, then they will come and stand next to you and say, you know, hug me, rest your body on me, and I'm here for you. And I give you this mothering, nurturing energy. So it's something that it happened several times, and then I developed this pattern, and then we have also see it happen with other herds. So in the beginning, I thought, well, maybe flamenco is just weird, maybe that's just his thing, and then we found out that in other herds, other horses also fit into these roles. And I've taught it so many times now, and people always say, yeah, and I have this kind of horse too, and this happened, I was so surprised. And we see the same pattern over and over. And there's a couple of patterns that happen frequently. Another one, super interesting one, is when the horses block us. There's some horses who will come in between. So if there's a client who's maybe not ready to share something, or not ready to share it right now because there's a group or there's a family waiting for him and it's not the right moment to share it. So he has this reluctancy of like, ugh, maybe I should, but I don't know why. And then the horse feels that and comes and stands like this so that I can't even see them anymore. And I'm like, hello, what's going on? And maybe the horse is trying to protect you. They do this. The mares do this with their foals. So the foals are usually behind the mare, away from us. And the mares do this on purpose to protect the foal. And they do it also with clients because they sense this vulnerability and they want to support them. And so we have detected a lot of these patterns, and they show over and over and over again in different herds. And usually we find like a reason. So mares do that, when horses do this naturally in the herd because they protect their offsprings or you know, different reasons, and we find like an explanation. But yeah, it shows then in a different character of the horse.
Wow.
Okay.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It really is fascinating, and it's you kind of never know what's going to happen. So it's really special line of work, I think. And combining it with the rescue horses has a special meaningfulness, because it's like the horses and the people kind of heal each other hand in hand. It's they both grow and help each other mutually. It's very special.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did I answer your question about the riding, Lori?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So some more questions. Lonnie, is this very far away from your day-to-day business?
Actually, of course, I don't have horses. I mean, I love horses, but I'm actually real interested in equine therapy. So not for me, for my granddaughter. So that's one of the reasons why I was attending, and
Yeah.
probably just want to get more information at a later time from you, but it's good. I enjoyed it.
Good.
Informational. I wish I had horses, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, if this weird situation changes at some point here in Ecuador, please come to a workshop. I think you would love it.
Oh, okay.
When we work with different people from the ground without riding to, you know, work on personal topics or just relaxation. It doesn't have to be something huge. And yeah, and get to know the horses from this different point of view. And well, and Lori was part of a retreat group, so that was also fantastic. And I hope that we can do that soon again.
It was very, very powerful. What's your name, Lonnie?
Lonnie, yes.
Yeah. So it was really interesting because the first day we all sat on the grass in a circle, and Christine was just introducing us to all the horses, and everybody it seemed like most of the people in the group were like really identifying with one of the horses. And I had said, I don't really resonate with any of the horses. I just don't feel, you know, an affinity. And so then we broke for lunch, and then I left the lunch table early, and I just went back out to where the horses were, and I was just standing at the fence looking at them, and one of the horses came up to me and started rubbing his head on my back. And I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, like I felt that horse really heard me, because like, my whole thing was like, I just wanted connection. That was like one of the things that I went there for, was just, you know, like to overcome the, you know, fear of connection. And just, so it was a very powerful experience. And that horse didn't leave me the entire time I was there. And it was that horse, what was the one that you were just talking about?
Flamenco.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I'll have to send you a picture. I have like the most beautiful pictures from that. And I'll send it to you, Christine. You can tell me if that was flamenco.
Yeah, okay. I have one, I remember one picture of you staying at the fence with Coralina. So maybe it's that situation.
Yeah, the Coralina where we were like head to head, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was a beautiful. Yeah. So that's what we then do with our rescued herds. And of course, the, you know, facilitating workshops and sessions is also a good way to give them a new job that is empathetic and respectful with their history and their special character. But it helps us to finance the costs involved with doing this, because rescuing horses is a bit costly, to say the least. And we can have very unexpected, very high vet bills. That's usually the case with new horses. And also, usually you have to buy them. It's not like an abandoned dog that you just pick up on the street, but you have to actually buy a horse, even if it's abandoned. And that can be expensive, like Katarina's nodding. She had to buy that horse from the slaughterhouse. And yeah, and then you get a surprise bag. You never know what it is all about, if they will come around fast or slowly, how deep their wounds are, their emotional wounds. So yeah, it is quite challenging, but it's also very rewarding. And yeah, and I love that you joined us today, Laurie. That's really awesome that you could tell us about your personal experience. And yeah, and I would like to, you know, continue to do this, talk a bit more about the rescue process, the rehabilitation process with different topics, and maybe we can have like a regular group come together. And then I hope to see you in one of the retreats at some point.
Yes, definitely.
Again, or new.
Yes. Thanks for sharing that information.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
What's her name?
Laurie.
Thank you. It's great.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much for joining in. I will send this recording to those who couldn't be here personally today, but we also have you in our hearts. Susan, for example, I thought about you a lot. And I see you soon, maybe in the next class, or maybe here with my herd or somewhere else in the world. There is a new retreat destination in Dubai. If somebody wants to have like the trip of this in the next lifetime, we have a herd in the desert of Dubai. And that's a very, very interesting one. I'll send out information, you know, when this whole pandemic travel restriction thing is a bit more at ease. All right. Have a very nice rest of the weekend, and talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Gracias.
Bye. Ciao.